this is who I am, and this is all I know, and I must choose.
Who is also the special guest of honor today. On behalf of all of us, especially that of the members of the Board of Trustees of the Foundation, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you and thank you for coming. There are other excellencies and former and current members of the diplomatic corps who are present here. The chairman of the Board of Trustees, Senator Oluwole, I'm sure that I'll come back to you. Distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, honorees of today, prospective awardees of the Foundation Scholarship, my Lord Spiritual and Temporal, the guest lecturer, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Senator Oluwole certainly made my work very simple, especially in respect of the protocols. He has introduced all the members of the Board of Trustees, as well as the honorees of today. But in his eloquent introduction of me personally, he committed some blasphemy, which I am bound, I'm afraid, to correct. When you say a man or a people are eaters of snail and its shell, it's not his fault. The average Ibadan knows that they have very many enemies, although the Jews are not among them. The proper thing for him to say is Ibadan, Oma Jerusu, Oma Jegniyo, Oma Fikara Mforimu. But all the same, I must extend very warm thanks to him for the nice things he has said about me and Ibadan in particular. I will have an opportunity of responding adequately, if not in kind. But I think the subject of today is so important that as much time as we can save on preambles and formalities, I think we should save it and go straight to the subject. Professor Oluwole Awokoya's name is assured forever in Nigeria's social history, especially in the educational subsector, because inter alia, as the first Minister of Education in the Western region of Nigeria of 1952, he was who anchored the then regional government's revolutionary policy of free primary education. And he executed it with such personal energy, zeal, and dedication that appears today to have gone with the wind in Nigeria's public life. Our leaders of that era, exemplified by the legendary head of that government, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, of blessed memories, were pioneers in the truest sense of the word. They were undaunted by the task they confronted, whatever its enormity or complexity, but they were constantly propelled by their sense of history and the judgments of posterity. And that was the setting when the great scheme, UB, was established in 1952. Those leaders were painfully aware of the severe paucity of the resources available to them, yet they went ahead nonetheless, and even went further to enlighten the society and the potential beneficiaries, parents and pupils, not minding the enormity of the probable response about the immeasurable benefits of education, not just as an antidote against ignorance, superstition and disease, but more importantly, that it is a sine qua non to personal and collective emancipation and development. I must know, because I completed my own secondary education, I don't want to frighten you again, in December of 1951, coming out of grade 1 as was already said, but having been painfully and selflessly sponsored and sustained exclusively by my peasant parents, neither of whom ever saw the inside of a secondary school, of any school at all. I was thus among the enlightened few that were struck by the miracle of the phenomenal explosion, not only in the growth of school enrollments, but also the production of the teacher manpower, and more importantly, by the visible and impressive changes in the persona of the average Western regional at that time, their outlook, their comportment, their self-confidence and general behavior, consequent upon the effect of education and enhanced literacy. As at that January of 1952, there were only 3 secondary schools in the whole of Ibadan, then the capital of the Western region of Nigeria, or some 6,000 students in all the available secondary schools in the whole region, stretching from Fadei in Yaba to Asaba in today's Delta State. There were only 6,000 students in all. You may wish to contrast that with the phenomenal secondary school population of some 840,000 pupils by 1959. And you can draw your own conclusions on the miracles that our pioneer political and educational leaders of that era had performed. Professor Awokoya himself was a man of history and someone destined to blaze a trail in Nigeria's educational history. The first Nigerian chemistry graduate, as you heard, he had been privileged to tutor many Nigerian leaders in the sciences and had dedicated all his life to the advancement of the knowledge of science and technology, especially for developing countries across the whole globe. Sadly, however, and with the shame and chagrin of the succeeding generations, the initiatives and sacrifices of these our great ancestors had been neglected at best and abused at worst. In the era when most of the developed economies of the world, including all of Western Europe, Japan, and the Americas, are insisting on investing more and more resources in education as a percentage of their national incomes so as to remain competitive in an ever-changing world. Leaders of the less developed parts of the world, including Nigeria, are either busy searching for the appropriate political modules or for strategies for sharing half-baked national goods. To compound the disaster, values are abysmally on the decline, with most school pupils spending more time learning how to cheat or to cultivate violence potentials, and in the process aggravating the already declining quality of education, character, and citizenship. The causes of these unfortunate developments are easy to trace. Lack of persistent national planning is one, absence of appropriate policies is another, while misplaced priorities occupy the pride of place to underscore the overall failure of leadership in our social, economic, and political life. I do not believe that it is prudent to ascribe this failure in Nigeria's national educational development to inappropriate political arrangements, such as unbalanced federation and or resource control alone, even though these are also critical factors. The truth, really, lies in a lack of appreciation of the crucial value of education by itself and also for national development. Alas, until we do so, the pursuit of real national development will remain a charade. The choice of the guest lecturer cannot be more illuminating. Professor Bamiro is one of the foremost scholars in the disciplines of science and technology that Nigeria ever produced. Committed and resourceful as a person, Professor Bamiro is acknowledged within and outside Nigeria as a distinguished scholar, an academic, an innovator, and contributor, of course, to Nigeria's potential emergence as a nuclear country. And in this generation, I have no doubt whatsoever, therefore, that he will do justice to the subject of this year's event and leave us all with a lot to remember for the future. I wish to seize this opportunity to congratulate the eminent Nigerians that have been honored here today, the persons of Dr. Kari Kakai, Dr. Stella Okoli, alias Emzo, and Mr. Benga teacher in the late 1940s. They are all illustrious Nigerians who have contributed to the cause of education and economic development in Nigeria in the past and are positioned to contribute even more in the future. They well deserve the honor being done to them today. I also wish to congratulate the lucky postgraduate students. I have no doubt that they are all proud to be associated with the Oluwole Awokoya Foundation for Science Education in this capacity, and that they will justify their choice for these awards by keeping the foundation in their thoughts and their actions, and whatever they do in the future and wherever they find themselves. Finally, I want to congratulate the illustrious members of the Board of Trustees of the Foundation, this worker, a resourceful gentleman, and a great patriot. I would like to also salute all the other members of the board, without exception. All of them accomplished and famous Nigerians. The mere mention of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in academic and industrial circles is enough to send tremors through the spines of less endowed science organizations anywhere in the world. And yet, one of the accomplished sons of our late hero, the person of Dr. Kola Awokoya, is an alumnus of that institution. And where the lives of Professor Ayodele Ogunye, Dr. Mrs. Olufumilayo Martins, Mrs. Motupe Aduke Ogunwale, Dr. Sonny Kuku, who in short span of life managed to get some 20 or 30 degrees by examination. Ikeo Anyigo and Dr. Omalarai Awokoya are assembled wherever they are assembled to govern an institution or a cause such as this. People are bound to listen.
Can we have another round of applause for our chairman? While the chairman's opening remarks, you are welcome, sir and ma'am. Engineer Segun Adedeji, Professor Femi Williams of the Nigerian Cancer Society, Mrs. Lillian Pratt and Mrs. Abi Abudu, you are both welcome. I'd like to welcome some friends of one of our honorees, Dr. Mrs. Stella Kola, the person of Chief Mrs. Taiwo, Chief Mrs. Eniola Fadayomi, Dr. Mrs. E.J. Jidema, Madam Uju Modebolu, Mrs. Uduaku, Mrs. Uche Uchuku, Chief Barrister Chuks Ikoku. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Babs Shogweson and Mrs. Elizabeth Adeyemi, Sir Remy Omotosho, and Sir Ademola Ogunji. Mr. Onoaha Martins of A to Z Petroleum, part of the Chikasin group of companies. The chairman is also one of our distinguished partners in education. This is their advert at the back of the program. I'd also like to welcome guests from the Chike Okoli Heart Foundation, and also a warm welcome to my darling cousin, Otumba Otukayode Otupade, Mr. Majek Owo of the Chemical Society of Nigeria, the Right Reverend Ihe Nacho, and MS Tina Yoha, of the Director of the Division of Intelligence. They are here to support Dr. Kalu. Dr. Elda Ebula, you are welcome, sir. Architect Yinka Omishore, you are welcome. And a warm welcome to the former principal of Grace High School, Mrs. Oluwole. You are welcome, madam. Engineer Madedo from the Academy of Engineering, you are welcome. We are now going to have, according to the chairman, to give us the presentation of the award of scholarships. Dr. Awokoya, please.
Kola Daisi. Our special guest of honor, His Excellency